Hello, I'm Dr. Beth Godey.
And I'm Dr. Martha Leatherman. We're here to talk to you today about caregiver stress. This is the first of 3 20-minute segments about this topic. All of the segments are available through www.mmlearn.org. And that's the website that you went to. You can go on the video page and find all 3 of these segments. Each segment builds on information provided in the previous segment. So try to watch them in order, but if you can't, that's okay. You can always catch up. You certainly don't have to watch them all at one sitting. At the end of each segment, we'll give you a little activity to help kind of reinforce what we've been talking about, but also to help you manage your stress. You only have to do the activities if you want to, and don't worry, they don't take too much time, and they're fun. Dr. Godey and I spend a lot of time with people just like you, hundreds of caregivers giving their all, helping people that they love through difficult times of illness. They're either at home with a loved one, they're back and forth to the hospital or to the nursing home, they're taking people to the doctor's office, but the problem faced by all of them is caregiver stress. And it's one problem that's very difficult to solve. We want to spend some time talking with you about caregiver stress, what it is and what you need to do about it. Beth, what do you think of as stress? Because a lot of times people just say to me that it's an emotion.
Well, that's true. There is an emotional response that we have when we're under stress, whether it's anxiety or nervousness, fear, sadness. But really, the stress reaction is a normal response to life events. Now, life events can be either positive or negative. Life events can be bad or an emergency, but they can also be fun events, things that we enjoy. But basically, this stress reaction affects the body as much or sometimes even more than our emotions. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's talk about life events. There's a little inventory called the Life Stress Inventory. And basically, that inventory is a list of life events that we all experience, changing jobs, new baby, marriage, divorce.
We have a list of some of those things on the slide.
We do, and we'll talk about the slide in just a second as far as I can go through the how the inventory was developed. Now you'll see on the slide that there are numbers next to each life event. These are just a few of the events that they have in the inventory. The numbers are based on research that shows the level, the severity of stress experienced as a function of going through that situation. So, for instance, on our list, you can see that marital separation gets a score of 65. The highest score is 100. Now, what you'll notice on here is that vacation has a rating of 13. So even going on vacation, and how many times do you think, I need to lower my stress, I need to go on a vacation? Well, yeah, but you get a score of 13 just for going on the vacation. And take a look at major change in financial state. Now, either better or worse. So, if you go bankrupt or you win the lottery, either way, you get a score of 38 as far as the stress. And so when you go through the inventory, which you can find on our website, which is www.dignityfirst.net, you can find the inventory, the link to the inventory, because we'll have a button that says Life Stress Inventory. Click on that and then you'll go to the link. Then you check off those events that you're experiencing or have experienced recently, and then you come up with a total score. And I'll get back to that total score in a minute. But basically, our life events create stress And that is normal. But the stress that we experience is because the event is a change in our normal routine. But the reaction we have to stress is a normal one.
Up on the slide, you can see the website, dignityfirst.net, which will take you to a place where you see a little button that you can click that says Life Stress Inventory, and you can take that. Now, Dr. Godey talked about how life stress is involved because of changes in life circumstance. And you can see how, although many of the things in our lives are stressful, they're short-term. So you go on a vacation. There is some stress, although you feel good. There's some stress involved. But then the vacation ends. The problem with caregiver stress is that it's prolonged. It's not short-term. It doesn't end. Our bodies respond to short-term stress, and we generally handle it pretty well. The problem becomes when the stress doesn't go away. And Beth, I like your example of the bear. Tell them the bear story so they can see what we're talking about.
This is a perfect example of short-term stress. Okay, so you're walking down a path in the woods. You're on a hike, and you're enjoying the air and the trees. It's a beautiful day, but up ahead on the path, you see a bear. And the bear is on his haunches, and he's got his claws out, and his teeth are bared. And he starts moving towards you. Okay, everything that happens from here on out is your body's getting ready to handle that stress. So here's what happens. Your brain says, I probably ought to run away from the bear, because your body's getting ready to either fight the bear or run away. So your brain says, let's run away. Now your breathing starts to get more rapid, and your heart rate increases. Your blood pressure goes up. Your eyes dilate so you can see better. And your hands may get cold and clammy, and then that means that the blood is being drawn to those big muscles so you can run away from the bear. So you start to run, and as your body's getting ready, the adrenaline rushes, and cortisol, which is a stress hormone, starts to surge through your body, and all these hormones are rushing through your body, and you're running down the path, and you're trying to escape. You decide, I think I need to look back and see if the bear is still there. You do, and the bear is gone. And you feel a sense of relief, but those hormones are still rushing through your body. It takes you probably the whole hike back to the car before you really relax and come back to normal. And that's short-term stress, not long stress like caregiving.
And you've all experienced, if you have a near miss with somebody who runs a red light and you're there and you pull over to the side of the road, the danger is gone, but it takes you a few minutes for that feeling to go away. Well, that's short-term stress. Mm-hmm. What if the stress doesn't go away? Now you can see why prolonged stress is so bad, because these hormones that Dr. Godey was talking about, the cortisol, which raises your blood sugar, the adrenaline, which raises your blood pressure and your heart rate, they constantly are flooding through your system with this prolonged caregiver stress. Over time, it affects your immune system, your heart and blood vessel system, your blood pressure, and all of your body systems are affected. And that's why we see that people who are caregivers often get sick before the person that they're caring for. So they might get depression or get the flu or get ill more often because their immune systems are run down from all of this ongoing stress.
And you'll notice if you go to the life stress inventory that once you've added up your score for all the life stressors, it will actually give you what your risk is of getting sick over the next year. That's part of the inventory. So we really suggest you take the inventory.
So how do you know if you're under prolonged stress? Well, there are a lot of signs. There are sleep problems, that people experience, feelings of depression,
Appetite problems, either too much or too little, maybe weight loss or weight gain.
problems drinking too much alcohol, sleeping problems, even memory problems.
Right, and one of the things that people will say when they're under stress is, I just can't seem to get things done or think, and I'm forgetful.
I can't concentrate, I'm always dropping the ball, which adds then to more stress.
Right.
People feel guilty. Do any of these apply to you?
You know, prolonged stress of caregiving, think about it, it's like having the bear chase you all the time.
Do you really know how much stress you're under? Well, you probably do. Honestly, you probably do know how much stress you're under. People consider caregiving as an endurance test that they just have to soldier through. So even though you recognize how much stress you're under, you force yourself to keep pushing through because you've got to endure. What you need to realize, though, is the physiological toll and damage that it's doing to you. And that's why managing stress is so very important, because you're really managing your own health.
You're really managing your own body's immune system and preventing illness if you're managing your stress.
So ironically, you think you're giving it your all, but you're not. The best of you is being robbed by this caregiver stress. And think of it this way. You would not want a surgeon to operate on you if he or she had been up night after night after night taking care of other people and was depleted and exhausted. Yes, that might appear heroic, but if you're the one under the knife, you want that surgeon rested, prepared, and at his or her peak. And the same is true for the job that you do every day. You need to be at your best as well. It's really common sense.
Don't you hate it when people try to give you advice, though, about how to reduce your stress? Like they'll say, what are you worried about? Why don't you just calm down?
Don't relax. Don't think about it.
Breathe.
Right. Take some deep breaths.
Yeah. Or, oh, why don't you just go out and have some fun? Have a vacation and be under more stress. What happens, the reason that's so frustrating for you when people tell you that is because you really are busy. But one of the things that happens to caregivers that we've noticed is that they get really closed in and they become so focused on the caregiving task that they have tunnel vision and can't really see options or how to make changes, or in some cases people will have so much trouble and so much tunnel vision that they won't even accept help when it's offered by their friends and family.
You know, clearly you do have a lot to do. There's a lot going on. You have a lot of tasks. But a lot of times caregivers don't even realize just how much time they're spending in daily activities for others and for themselves. So the first thing to do to help manage the stress, we've talked about what stress is, we've talked about how it's affecting you, and I know you're saying, how do I get rid of it? We're going to take it in small bites. The first thing you have to do is recognize all of the things that you do every day, caregiving, and how much time you spend doing them. Make a list. Take a minute and write down the things that you do for caregiving, whether it's bathing somebody, making phone calls, paying bills for that person, setting up appointments, going back and forth to visit. Write down the things that you do for yourself, including eating, sleeping, taking a shower, and keep a record of this for 2 days. Then we're going to look at your day and what it looks like on a 24-hour clock.
Now we have a slide of the clock, and let's take a look at that. Now, one of the things you might want to do when you're writing down all the things you do as a caregiver is maybe carry a little notepad with you and just write it down. Count up the time you spend driving somewhere to do things, whether it's grocery shop or go to the nursing home or whatever. Now, on our website, you'll see this 24-hour clock. Again, www.dignityfirst.net, and then click on Caregiver Stress, and you'll see this clock. You can either print it off of the website or draw one your own that looks like this. Okay, now, each of those segments is 1 hour. So add up all the time you spend caregiving, and then add up all the time you spend for yourself, and color in different colors, those two things. And then take the amount of time you sleep and use a different color for that. And then you'll see how much time you spend awake taking care of yourself and how much time you spend on caregiving.
Now, don't get stressed by this. That's a funny-looking clock. It does have 24 segments on it. And the time that you jot down doesn't have to be exact.
No.
We're just trying to give you a broad idea of the time that you spend doing things for yourself versus other people. We have an example of what a clock might look like.
Right. Your clock might end up looking like this. Now, at the end of this exercise, you're going to have two things. First of all, you're going to have a list of all your activities that you do as a caregiver, and that alone may really surprise you. But then you'll have a picture of how much time you spend in caregiving and how much or how little time you spend for yourself. Now, we have one example of the lady whose husband was in the nursing home, and she was visiting him every day. And she couldn't figure out why she was so depressed and irritable. And, you know, we would say, well, maybe you should reduce the amount of time you spend in the nursing home, or, you know, how much time do you spend caregiving? And she'd tell us, well, I don't
do very much.
Don't do much. It's not that much of an effort to go to the nursing home. Well, we had her, and this is actually her clock, we had her fill out the clock like this. Now, you'll notice that she only has 2 hours of time that she spends on herself.
Outside of sleeping.
Which includes showering, brushing her teeth,
Eating,
combing her hair.
all those things. And look at the rest of the time, all of that in yellow that's spent on caregiving.
It was remarkably amazing to her that she was spending that much time at the nursing home and taking care of her husband. And it was the first step toward making some real progress with this lady. And she understood clearly at that point why she was so depressed and so irritable.
Because if you put that together with the recognition that the exhaustion does not help your loved one in the long run, and that soldiering through and enduring might not be the best way to approach the caregiving situation, you can begin to start to find ways to make a little bit more time for yourself. Because what's screaming at you the whole time is, but I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. And that release valve is very helpful.
And actually, by watching this first segment, you're doing the most for yourself you can at this point to try and manage your stress. And it's wonderful that you took the time to watch this. In the next 2 segments, we'll talk more about how to use this clock and some other activities that will help you manage your stress. And we really hope you'll join us for both of those.
Thanks very much.